Approximately 10 years ago, I received an unexpected invitation. It was an invite to a dinner party hosted by my cousin, a relative I had never met in person. Our interactions had been limited to a few phone conversations over the years, and I was taken aback when his family reached out to me after all this time. The invitation bore an address that was unfamiliar, a location so remote that even my GPS failed to recognize it. I resorted to using an old-fashioned paper map, marking the location with a red pin. As I embarked on my journey, I couldn't help but notice how far I was venturing from the bustling city life. The landscape transformed from concrete buildings to endless rows of trees and sprawling farms. A sense of unease crept in as I muttered to myself, "Where on earth am I heading?" After what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon an address that bore some resemblance to the one on the invitation. As I neared the house, I was struck by its eerie appearance. The house was shrouded in a thick layer of leaves and branches, giving it a gloomy and abandoned look. "This can't possibly be it," I thought to myself. However, as soon as I pulled into the gravel driveway, my aunt and her husband emerged from the house. Their faces lit up with joy and they greeted me warmly. As I stepped inside the house, I inquired about my cousin's whereabouts. They promptly replied, "He had to run a few errands. He should be back later." We spent the next few hours reminiscing about family memories and discussing my mother. My aunt prepared a mouth-watering pot roast that I devoured within minutes. After dinner, we engaged in a spirited game of Uno. The game was surprisingly intense and competitive, making the evening quite enjoyable. As the evening wore on and darkness began to fall, there was still no sign of my cousin. Despite the enjoyable evening, I knew I had to leave. The remote location would be difficult to navigate in the dark, and my GPS was of no help. I asked my aunt and her husband for directions to the nearest highway. Their faces took on a puzzled expression. "We thought you were staying the night," they said. I explained that I had work the next day and couldn't afford to miss it. They said, "It's much better if you leave tomorrow morning. Trust us, you'll get lost." I brushed off their concerns, assuring them that I was an adept navigator. I boasted, "I could find my way out of the Sahara Desert." Despite my reassurances, they strongly advised me to stay the night for my own safety. Their insistence was beginning to irritate me. Finally, I relented. "Fine, I'll stay the night, but I need to leave early for work." They seemed oddly relieved and excited that I had agreed to stay. As they went to prepare my bed, I seized the opportunity to make a quick exit. I dashed to my car and sped off down the driveway. Navigating my way out of the desolate place was challenging, but I eventually found my way back to civilization. I arrived home an hour later than expected. It was already 11 p.m., and I didn't want to disturb my sleeping parents. I quietly climbed over the fence and slipped in through the back door, only to find the kitchen lights on. As I stepped inside, I found my mother sitting at the kitchen table, a look of impatience on her face. "Where were you?" she asked. "I was at Aunt Susan's." "You knew that," I replied. "Then why did she call saying you never arrived?" To this day, I still have no idea who I visited that night. It was unclear what terrifying adventure I had entered. There is still no answer as to who they were and what their goal was. I can't even determine whether it was a delusion or a strange reality. If they were not my relatives, then who were they? Our story for today has come to an end. Be sure to leave your comments for me. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos, stories, and animations on the channel. Please subscribe to the channel to support me and to be able to watch the next videos that are posted. Until the next video, goodbye for now.